Christian persecution has reached historic record high levels, with Nigeria and India making the latest news. India has an autocratic Hindu government which is now resorting to Christian persecution in order to impose Hinduism. In 2023, approximately 90% of worldwide Christian massacres took place in Nigeria by bandits and Muslims, and to this day the most Christian deaths take place in Nigeria, which has the largest population of any country in Africa. Despite this, North Korea remains number one on the World Watch List 2024. Here's a list of the worst countries for Christian persecution. As you can see, it is ridiculously higher now since 1993, and has even spread to Mexico and in latest news the USA, where a couple of months ago a man was shot in the head for street preaching. I saw a video of him preaching. It was a great message. It was all positive. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't being obnoxious, judgemental or hateful. He was just a lead pastor standing outside his church relaying a positive message about finding Jesus prior to the service, as he normally did. And he got shot in the head for it. This is how bad this hatred of Christianity has become now, even in the free world. So why am I talking about Christian persecution specifically, other than it being so significant in the news right now? It's because I foresaw it, or rather the Bible foresaw this. John in Revelation foresaw this. But this is where I pinpointed us on the Revelation timeline back in 2015, when I went through the four horsemen and said we are at the fifth seal being broken, which is all this persecution. Back then, I said, once it exceeds the death toll of World War II, the seal before it, then we're going to see the next seal being broken. It's no coincidence that this all happened consecutively. Nostradamus correctly identified Napoleon as an antichrist. He was the first horseman who conquered and was given a crown. The other horsemen didn't have crowns. All the horsemen are supernatural, like the angels in Revelation, and in context with the rest of the Bible, horsemen represent war, which is exactly what we had. We had World War I, peace from the earth, and all of man killing one another. Then the Great Depression, famine caused by the war, and then the pale horse of death, which was World War II and the Holocaust. So then I said, well, what's next? Has the next thing to happen in Revelation happened yet? Or is it happening? And does it corroborate with the others? Well, now we know. We had the most apocalyptic, revelation-worthy events in history all happening consecutively as per John's revelation. And now this, Christian persecution. Once again, consecutive and irrefutable. It's no coincidence that they appear in John's revelation consecutively. This is what he was talking about. This is where we are because of what's happening in the world right now, and what happened prior to this with the four horsemen. And also because what comes after this, Christian persecution, we know hasn't happened in history because it is so unprecedented. Stick around for part 2, where I will explain what's coming next with the sixth seal, and that this will most likely happen within our lifetime, based on the statistics on Christian persecution. We're getting pretty close, folks. The next seal is close to being broken, and like I said, It will be totally unprecedented, unlike anything the world has ever seen before. And you know what? We're also, coincidentally, at a time unlike any other time in history where something of this magnitude could indeed occur because of global warming. Coming up, the quake. This is the name I have given the greatest earthquake of all time, inspired by the book of Enoch, where Enoch says the earth is split in two. I wrote about this in my book, I did videos on it a long time ago, and I'm doing one again because this is what's coming up next. In part 2, I'll be explaining the quake, how it will be a great megathrust earthquake, the greatest the world has ever known, and how it will change the geography of the planet. The Bible tells us this. John also says that it will move mountains and islands from their places. Okay. Now, this sounds a bit far-fetched, but tectonic plate movement can indeed do this. Alright, mountains have been known to move because of a tectonic plate sliding, yeah, up and down against one another. So John knew that this could happen, and he wrote about it in Revelation before it became science, millennia before it became science, and we know more about seismic activity. So once again, it's just more verification of Revelation. How on earth could John know this? It just goes to show, folks, that the Word of God is truth, and that the book of Revelation is happening. We're at the Christian persecution stage, and what John says is coming next is a science, okay? It is proven that mountains do move with tectonic plate movement, and, well, after this great quake, and the meteor shower following it, all the kings and queens, and it says free men and bondmen, everyone basically who's still around will flee to these mountains, these caves and so on. They're called deep underground military bunkers these days. Everyone will flee to them, okay? Now, the earthquake isn't likely to cause this. This isn't what happens immediately before everyone flees, and it's not likely to, because we've had earthquakes before, we've had great earthquakes. It's not been anything so terrifying that everyone runs and hides in caves. However, we haven't had a meteor shower in history that will be like the one in John's Revelation. Now, if we had a meteor shower, imagine it, everybody would be running to get underground, okay? And that's what's coming up with the sixth seal after the Christian persecution, and all the Christians pleading to God, when will you avenge us? Well, then we get the sixth seal. And that's when it gets really bad, folks, okay? That will... We may have a rapture just before this. It mentions the tribes of Israel, okay? This will be Christians from all parts of the world, okay, who have the seal of God put in their foreheads, and we may get the rapture then, okay? And then we have the Great Tribulation. So stick around for part 2. I'm going to go over earthquakes, mega thrust earthquakes, the devastation they have caused in the past, the devastation this great quake could cause, and how the world will change, okay? The topography of the world is going to change, and there's even mention in the Bible, I think it's in Zechariah, where Israel will change. The desert lands in Israel will become fertile, okay? And there will be a river that appears in Jerusalem. Plus the Mount of Olives will move, okay? Parts of it will be split, like the mountains that John says will move. That's going to take place in Israel as well. The Mount of Olives, folks, okay? Now, if this happens, okay, like John says, and other Old Testament prophets, if this actually takes place, then I'm sorry, but this is just one in quadrillions chance that somebody could predict this. I mean, it's just off the charts, folks, okay? You can't make this stuff up. And according to the Bible, that's what's coming next. And you know what? It's been accurate so far, up until now, alright? Lots of Old Testament prophecies being fulfilled, the 4 horsemen being fulfilled consecutively, the Christian persecution taking place now, and the fact that this quake and the meteor shower hasn't yet happened but is about to. I mean, this is definitely where we are on the Revelation timeline, folks, okay? And just like I said, we could be around when this takes place. This generation could see this, alright? Look at the map, the world map of Christian persecution spreading. It is getting out of control. So I think it's coming pretty soon, guys. I think it's coming pretty soon. This is going to be epic.